I'm Louise from WildflowerWool, and welcome. It is Monday yet again, which means it is a new episode of New Start Monday Knits. I have got so much to share with you guys tonight. I will just get settled in here and we'll wait for some people to join us. Where will I start? Okay, I'll kind of recap what we're going to talk about. I've got the winning yarn from today's Instagram stories post. I'll show you that. I'll let you know remember I had a knitting goal for last week. I'll let you know where I ended up with that. I have got a new colorwork project to show you. We're going to talk about the Tubular Cast On again. This is getting more interesting the more research I do. And the fifth thing is the sock knitting challenge over the Easter weekend. I'll give you some more details about that. Winning yarn. It was close. It was really close all day long. If you didn't see the Instagram posts, I pulled these 2 balls out of my stash. I did some real deep stash diving this morning. Hey, Donna Marie, how are you? Guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to apologize. I do not know. I am having the worst time with my eyes today, so I'm going to have to really do some squinting to see comments. So I know it's probably going to look really funny as I get really close to the screen. I think I need a trip back to my optometrist and see about getting my glasses changed. Hey, Sabrina, how are you? Look at that. The only way I can seem to read is by, I don't know. This is making me feel old. Anyways, okay, back to the yarn. So big, deep stash dive this morning. I knew what I wanted to cast on, what I'm going to cast on with this yarn. And the project only takes 1 50-gram ball. These 2 single balls of sock yarn. So this is old Patton's Croy stretch. Well, I guess I'm not really technically Croy. I kind of counted when I did my big count of all my sock yarn. I counted this because it's still Patton sock yarn. So I don't know. To me, it's all Croy. But technically, it is stretch socks. It has some Naughty Yarnies. Hey, how are you? Let's do a quick look at the ball band. I know it's got cotton, 41% cotton, 39% wool, 13% elastic, and back that up. 41 cotton, 39 wool, 13 nylon, 7 elastic. There's a lot in here, and it is really stretchy. I've knit before. Hey, James, how are you? Can you see how much stretch that has in here? I knit a pair of summer short socks. Couple pairs. I knit a pair for me and I knit a pair for my mom a few years ago. It's really nice to work with. And I did one of my first hitchhikers out of this. Hi, Wendy. It knits up really nice. And sadly, it's been long discontinued. But I don't know, does anybody else have any of this in their stash? Still kind of tucked away? So this was my question today. What color do I cast on for this one tiny little project that only takes 1 ball? The blue or the pink? The pink is called Sugar. The blue was called Kelp. And like I said, it was close all day long. And the winner ended up being blue, the Kelp. Just by a little bit. Oh, I know a few, it was close. It was really, I think this was like 56% of the people voted for the blue. So pink will go back in my stash until who knows how long. Maybe once I get this project done, I may pull this out and do the exact same thing. And Wendy, you like the Kelp? Yes, there was a vote for pink and a vote for Kelp. I know, really, they're both pretty, right? And they both look very springy and summerish too. Oh, naughty yarns. Well, I know the pink is nice too. And and pink is not my color. You guys all know pink is not my color, but it is kind of pretty. I like it. Pink and the gray looks nice together. So this is the winner. I also said that you guys would never guess what I'm going to make with this 50-gram skein. And I gave you a little hint. If you had watched the Fibre Friends podcast on Friday, Cheryl and I were talking about this project, and she has actually cast hers on and practically has her project finished. And you guys are going to, hey, Susanna, how are you? You guys are going to die laughing when I tell you what it's going to be. I am going to be eating my words here. Fingerless mitts. I know. I can just hear everybody now going, Louise, what are you doing? Because if you have watched me throughout the years with the Fibre Friends podcast and here on the WildflowerWool, you'll know. Oh, you're getting caught up on live. Oh, that's great. And so, well, thanks for joining in. You guys will know that I have very opinionated ideas on fingerless mitts. And in a nutshell, I don't see the point to them. If my hands are cold, I want a mitten, right? Well, I don't know. I saw Cheryl's that she's knitting and they looked cute. And I thought, okay, maybe this time of year when it's chilly in the mornings or it cools down at night, because right now during the day, it's been really nice and warm here. Really beautiful spring days. And I thought, okay, maybe there is a need. I can't believe I'm saying this. Cheryl can talk me into anything, apparently. For fingerless gloves, fingerless mitts. And I'm thinking more of my daughter, which is another reason why the reason that the blue won out over the pink is better, because she likes blue better than pink. But anyways, my daughter has a dog and they need to take her out for walks. And I thought, you know what? Maybe fingerless gloves would work out well. And I did also think for myself when I'm out for walks, because now that the weather is good and the ice is gone, I'm really, really, really trying to get out and walk every day. And I thought, well, I can walk. And if I need to text or if I need, well, I guess I should be walking and texting, but I do use my phone as I'm walking. Fingerless gloves might work for that. Still use your phone, Donna Marie. You're thinking, see, we're on the same wavelength. And that was the only reason for myself. I thought maybe I should give fingerless mitts another go. So, hey, Jocelyn, are amazing. You love wearing them? Oh, and typing on the computer. But see, okay, that's my whole problem, though, is that if you have to have gloves on while you're typing in your office, there's a bigger problem than the gloves. You need to crank the heat up, Jocelyn. Anyways, I'm going to try it just because it looks fun. And I have these skeins that I should just get used to because they've been sitting around for a while. Not that that should really bother me. Anyways, fingerless gloves. So you guys can all type in the comments, I told you so. Because yeah, this is probably one of the last things. Bonita left me a comment, I think over on Facebook, and she asked if I was going to knit a bikini. And you know, two things came to mind. I'm like, heck no, nobody needs to see me in a bikini. And I'm like, I don't think 50 grams is going to cover enough of what I want to cover. So I've learned never to say never, but yeah, no plans right, you know, at any time to knit beach wear. But hey, I'm making fingerless gloves and I never thought I would do that, even though I did design a pair for Adrian a couple of years ago. Yeah, I'm making them of my own free will right now, which I never thought I would do. So who knows? Maybe there will be a bikini in my future at some point. So anyways, thanks so much, everybody, for, you know, leaving your votes over on Facebook. I mean, the official poll is in the stories, but some people were leaving some votes on the Facebook page and maybe in the post on Instagram. But overall, definitely blue was the winner. So I will be casting that on, and I'm going to also cast that on with a tubular cast on, which we will talk about in a minute because that saga continues. James, last night you started to crochet. Oh, do crochet tatting. So tatting, you'll have to let me know how that goes. I have done a little bit of needle tatting. Oh my gosh, I've tried bobbin tatting, and bobbin tatting is like on my bucket list. I will not die until I have gotten the hang of that, flipping that knot so it doesn't knot and so it still slides. So yeah, you'll have to let us know. Oh my gosh. How the tatting goes. That's pretty exciting. Oh, what's this on random? Okay, so Jocelyn, you filmed. Oh, you whoops. Oh, you filmed all of your whips? Oh gosh, you are brave. I don't think I'll be doing that. Okay, so last week's knitting goal for myself. Remember, I had these socks that were almost finished. I worked a lot on them last week and got them done. February socks are done in like the third week of March. So that is, you know, according to my style, right, how I do things, I'm like right on track. Oh, Jocelyn, you've always wanted to try tatting? Well, James, you're going to have to let us know how it all works out. So look, pair number 2 is done. And my March, my Leo and Roxy, actually, I can grab it. Hold on. I'll just kind of, remember this was the winner from last week's? Look at this. No needles yet. I haven't cast on. I got sidetracked. So it's still sitting here. So it is now March 22nd. And here is my March sock yarn. I'm seeing a big problem with this. But I'm still ever hopeful that I can catch up because it's still scheduled to be shorty socks. So I don't know. I'll get caught up at some point. Maybe I'll be doing a lot more shorty socks. I never stipulated my pair of socks per month or my 12 pairs per year. I never said they had to be a full leg. So I may it's only 3 months into the year, and I may have to modify my goals just a smidge. Okay, but that pair was done. Next thing I wanted to talk to you about was my new Leo and Roxy cast on. So I've got my crazy yarn lady bag because it makes me smile every time I see it. It was a gift from my friend Asa when I went over to Norway and visited her over there. Met a lot of really nice podcast viewers while I was there. It was so much fun. Oh, hey, Tracy. Many years ago, you taught yourself, shuttle tatting. Did I say bobbin? I might have said bobbin, didn't I? I didn't mean that. I meant shuttle. Yeah. No, needle tatting I can do, but shuttle tatting. Good for you if you learned all on your own. I've taken a couple of classes. I just got to practice. I know how to do it. I just can't keep, the one yarn you have to loosen and the other one you have to tighten. I just can't get the feel of that for whatever reason. But maybe I've let it sit now for quite a while. Maybe if I go back to it, maybe all of a sudden it'll just click and I'll think it's a feel thing. I always used to say it's like learning how to drive a standard car. That between the clutch and the gas and just giving it the right, letting one off, just it's a feel thing. And isn't that funny? Comparing shuttle tatting to driving a car. But yeah, I just feel that that's what it is that feel thing. And I just have not got that down. But it's been a few years and I haven't tried it. So maybe I'll have to go back. Oh, so it was definitely a challenge. Well, that's good. You're making me feel better. Okay, remember these 3 balls? The Leo and Roxy Basics? This was a Monday voting yarn too. And you guys picked the gray over the raspberry ripple. And yes, a standard car. So you get what I mean, Tracy, about how it's like, your gas pedal and your clutch, it's like you're letting one off. And it's like the same with the threads on your tatting, right? You're pulling and letting one slack off. Yeah, I just gotta get the feel for that. So James, good luck. Okay, so Leo and Roxy basic yarn. I am in love with this. I stayed up way past midnight last night working on this. Oh, you felt that way about spinning. That is kind of the same, isn't it? The feel, because as you're, oops, I got yarn running away. Yes, because as you're drafting, that's the term, right? As you're like, yes, because you literally with spinning, you do have a foot going up and down on the pedal. And you've got the foot going, and then you've got to draft with your hands. And it's a whole timing thing too, isn't it? Look at this. There's a lot more like hand, eye, foot coordination thing going on here, isn't there? Certainly makes knitting seem a whole lot easier. Anyways, okay, you want to see what I've got done? Okay, I did not end in a good spot, you guys. I'm knitting magic loop. And I knew when I started this project, I'm designing it, and I wanted it to have circles on it. So I don't know if you guys are nearly as excited about this as I am, but I am loving this. So I've just started this little arrow. I love chevrons. And so this is like a broken. There's a space between them. But to me, it also looks almost like a big knit stitch, or almost like petals, as if this was going to be a flower. And I've started repeating the yellow up on top, and it will be an upside down V. And then I'm going to do the circles or the flowers. They're going to switch for the next pattern. The flower part is going to be the more mustard, and the petals or the V, the big knit stitch, however it looks to you, that's going to be done in the Queen's Navy. And I'm just going to keep alternating that. I'm using, what did I check? A 3.25 millimeter needle, doing magic loop, obviously, and I'm partway across. There we go. Okay, go like that. Partway across my row. But I am loving this. I played around with the stitch pattern a few times. I pulled it out a few rows. I did a little pulled out, did a little pulled out. But I'm really liking it now. The yarn is to die for, you guys. I wish you could feel this. It is really nice and soft. Very fine though, compared to the Croy socks, my green socks that I just finished. Because you guys know, if you've knit with Croy before, you know it's a little heavier. Like the gauge on it is 28 stitches for 4 inches, whereas pretty much all other sock yarn is 32 stitches for 4 inches. So Croy is just that little bit thicker, and I could really, 2 balls down, that's all right. I could really feel the difference, but I like this. I love the thinness of this. I love the softness. And not that it's thin, it's just like regular sock yarn. It is just a little different than the Croy. It is a dream to work with. It does not split. It's just really, really nice. Anyways, I'm liking it. And like I said, I stayed up way past midnight working on this. I'm not even minding that, you know, it's a little slower because it is fingering weight. I love it. I'm lumping this in with my cabled cowl that I'm doing, the one that was supposed to be done in January. And again, I don't want it to finish that cables. You'll see that Friday on the Fibre Friends podcast again, because I did work a bunch of that on the weekend. But I love the process. And even this, you know, once it's done, I'm going to immediately cast something else on with this yarn because I'm loving it. Do you guys ever have a project or yarn or something that you just absolutely love? Like I love doing ferrule knitting, and I haven't done any recent projects with color work for a while. And it's just so fun because every round, it's like you're painting a picture row by row as you're knitting, and you know, and I spend more time looking at my work than knitting it probably, because I have to stop and admire it. And you're like, you know, you get half a round done and you look and you're like, whoa, even just that one more row of stitches brings the pattern so much more to life than it had on the row before, which is really fun and very addicting, which is why I end up staying up way too late. Hey, Leona, how are you? So anyway, that is super fun. I don't know how much, that's probably going to be my goal, is to get the hat finished. Oh, Susanna, you did an online order and a curbside pickup? That's exciting. Yeah, I don't think our yarn shops are open yet either. I think they're all just the same thing. Order online, curbside pickup, and I may look at with my work schedule. I can only pick up on Saturdays. So Oh, Leo, you're enjoying the weather. I know it's beautiful, isn't it? So we'll see. I may make myself just work with the yarn that I have and not buy anything more, but you never know. I know, Jocelyn. I know. I was looking in my planner today. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did this end up being the last week of March? We're right at the 22nd. Well, I guess we have one more week, don't we? Okay, so I think I'm okay. So I know. All of a sudden now I have to get some whips done in here too. I'm casting on new things. I need to take some vacation from work, you guys. That's what I need to do. Oh, Susanna, they had evening pickup, so you were able to go after work and pick up your yarn. That's fantastic. Okay, Tubular Cast On, and then we're going to talk about the sock knitting challenge, the Easter sock knitting challenge. So the mystery, well, it's not really a mystery. I think I have solved the mystery of the Tubular Cast On. You're also in panic mode, Jocelyn? Okay, then that's making me feel better. But I'm thinking I have this coming weekend to really work on my March whips. Well, that's because that's all I have left. So I'm gonna have to. No, you would not. I know. I've tried not to cast on, and I think it was Little Red Mittens podcast. Somebody had said I'm a couple episodes behind on theirs. I spent a lot of time this weekend binge watching my favorite podcasts. Some of them, I haven't got through all of them, trying to get caught up. And Little Red Mitten, I did not get to, but I know somebody had said, I think I heard Caroline talking about it, that they were talking about this crazy idea of like 100-day challenge of not casting on anything new. I just like laughed out loud. I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going to attempt that. There's no way I could do 100 days. I can't go 100 days without buying yarn. I can't go 100 days without casting on. That is just craziness. I'm like, love, anybody else who can do it. That's wonderful. Not for me. Okay, I also did. Okay, so back to the tubular cast on. I think I got sidetracked here. Tubular cast on. I did this while Cheryl and I were doing the Fibre Friends podcast. And it took me, if you watch that, it took me a couple tries to do that too, because I'm trying to talk and I'm trying to think and I'm trying to cast on. And when you know it, I dropped a stitch. Here I was, I thought I had it all. And then I looked at it and I dropped a stitch. So practice makes perfect though. Okay, they're doing April. So it ends. So they're doing their 100 days and it ends April. Okay. Well, that's good. It's almost over. They must be happy. I don't know. Somebody must be happy. And then they will have a cast on party, right? Okay, so look at this. This is the tubular cast on. And I had so many comments. Thank you so much for leaving me comments about the tubular cast on. So we'll do a little recap from last week. Last week, I attempted to show you how I wanted to do this and totally messed it all up while we were chatting. So I'm going to do it again while we're chatting because I've done it a couple times more. Last week, should have known, should never try to do something for the very first time when you're live talking and reading comments. That is like a recipe for disaster, but that's okay. That's what these lives are. They are what they are, right? I figure these lives are this is what I would be doing Monday night when I got home from work. I'd be sitting up here knitting and watching Netflix. I'm substituting you guys for Netflix, which is a way better deal. And, you're going to see some things that work and some things that don't. And if they don't, we'll just come back next week and we try them again, right? So, a lot of comments on the tubular cast on. Some people had given me suggestions to go look at Suzanne Bryan's because she is a wealth of knowledge. Her Rox Knits, I think somebody might have mentioned her, and Very Pink Knits. Those are kind of the three big names that I would think of for knitting tutorial ideas. And a lot of people do it differently. There's still a lot. And when I searched tubular cast on in the round, then last week I just searched tubular cast on. Whole bunch of videos came up and I had to search through them all because I was looking for the one that was a provisional cast on using a crochet hook. And a lot of the videos that came up were just a version of a long tail, basically what I was doing as the Italian cast on, which is still good, but I wanted this to be something different. So I found a very pink knits tutorial last week, and I did her version this way. A lot of people said, they're like, what? Why are you doing it that way? And there was, so lots of comments. So I went back and I did some more searching. And this time I searched tubular cast on in the round. A whole bunch more came up. And, oh, Jocelyn, you don't think you could do 100 days either? 30? Yeah, maybe 30. Maybe 30. So again, different words typed into YouTube, and it still came up the whole new brand new set of videos. Again, a lot of them were just doing the version of the long tail, which was like the Italian cast on, where you cast on a knit and a purl, a knit and a purl, which is still an okay cast on. So I came across another Very Pink Knits video and Suzanne Bryan's, and what they were doing. And I thought, and I almost pulled my hair out when I saw this. I thought, oh my gosh. Now I'm like, I thought I was confused before. And when I first started watching these videos, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going to figure this out. I'm thinking, and I was ready to throw in the towel and be like, long tail cast on forever and ever. Hey, Susan, how are you? But I watched the video and now I've decided I know what the difference is. So what they were doing, they were casting on and they were knitting and yarn overing. Knitting, yarn over, knitting, yarn over. And I thought, oh my word, what is this yarn over business? The difference is if you're doing a 1x1 rib or a 2x2 rib. At least this is my deduction after watching these videos. So if you want to do a 1x1 rib, now mind you, this way you could do 1x1 rib as well. But anyways, what they were doing, they were casting on, and you cast on half the stitches. So I think it was Sandy asked me about last week's video. She's like, what do you mean you end up with double the stitches? Nobody has ever said that in any other video. So what it is I had cast on 10 stitches. And then when I picked up stitches from the front and from the provisional cast on, you've got 10 stitches you cast on, but you've got 10 on top and 10 on the bottom. So you end up with 20. So what you want to do, make sure you do, is you only cast on half the number of stitches. So if I want to have 20 stitches for my scarf, then I want to make sure I only cast on 10, which is what they explained in the videos. So hopefully, Sandy, that clears up that maybe because I was talking about doubling the stitches, which would happen. You just have to make sure you want to cast on half the stitches. So if you're casting on for a hat and you wanted, 100 stitches for your hat, you would only cast on 50. What else was there? So back to the slip stitch. So slip stitch, that works well for knit one, purl one, because you knit, you slip, you knit, you slip, you knit, you slip. So you've got your knits, your slips, or your purls. You turn your work around and you slip and you knit, you slip and you knit. So you're alternating. So that sets you up knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, which makes sense. This way that I did it, you can do knit two, purl two, knit two, purl two, and there's no slip stitches. Oh, I know. What do you guys think? Is your mind like spinning? Because mine was, until I took kind of a deep breath and sorted this all out in my head. And somebody else left a comment this past week and said, you know what, tubular cast on is nice, but it is way too much work. Let me tell you, I was watching these videos and I was thinking, man, I think you're right. my quick synopsis of the 3 cast-ons. Oh, Suzanne, you're working on your heel flap. Fantastic. So the alternating cable cast-on, the Italian, and the tubular, just right off the top of my head, kind of like the main characteristic or whatever I can think of is the alternating cast-on, I like the look of. It's a little more decorative than the other two. The Italian cast-on, it's a version of the long tail, super fast, the fastest of all 3 to cast on for sure. Don't know as I like the edge quite as nice. The tubular cast-on looks great. It is definitely the most time consuming, but maybe it's worth it. So I'm going to show you again how I did my tubular cast-on for 2x2 ribbing because it's not that hard. I'm just going to make sure I have everything I need. So this is what it looks like. I'll show you this little sample that I did before. So it has lots of stretch, like a really lot of stretch, which is really great. And that's the bottom. So it is completely reversible because your columns of knit stitches come down, they wrap around and continue up the other side. The bottom's nice. It feels very durable. Like, I think it's good if you can get past all of the extra work, you know, when you could just zip off a long tail or even an Italian cast on. Might want to weigh your options there. So starting off, crochet hook and waste yarn is what we want. What do I have here? Okay. I am going to, oh, Jocelyn, what's that? You love the look of the tubular cast on? Oh, but it's a lot of work. Yes, I am gathering that. But, you know, sometimes things are worth it. Okay, so we don't need a long tail. Just going to make a cast on. We're going to pull this out anyways. This is just waste yarn, so it doesn't really matter what you've got. So slip knot, crochet hook. If anything, this is giving me a little practice for my crocheting. So I'm going to hold this up here just so you can kind of get a better look. So I'm going to crochet a few stitches. And I've come to the conclusion that, okay, look at this. I'm pretty useless when it comes to crochet. I will admit that. I'm not going to give up though. One day I'll have time to perfect it. Probably about the same time I have time to play with my tatting again. Okay, so I'm going to do a longer tail here. And then when I cast on and I end, I'm just going to chain a couple of stitches so I know that I'm going to pull out the short end. Okay, cast on just a few stitches. I am going to, okay, I'm going to cast onto this circular needle. So you take your needle, maybe I won't because it's a little, just because it's a little fiddly. I'll use one of these straight needles. So you take your knitting needle and you set it on top. So this is how you're going to look at. You're going to set your knitting needle on top of the working yarn. And then your crochet hook comes over the knitting needle. You scoop up the yarn and then you do a chain stitch. So now the working yarn is on top of the knitting needle. We just want to flip it around the end of the needle so the working yarn is again underneath the knitting needle. Then you take the crochet hook, come across on top of the knitting needle, scoop up that yarn, pull it through the loop on the crochet hook. I dropped it. And then that makes another stitch on the knitting needle. So you just keep repeating that. I'm going to do it 10 times. So the yarn comes around underneath the knitting needle, crochet hook goes over, scoops up that yarn, pulls it through the loop on the crochet hook. And I don't know. I obviously need to crochet a little bit more. I do not find this real comfortable. But I guess it's just because I don't do it very often. I don't hold a crochet hook very often. So anyway, so like I said, half the number of stitches you want. So I'm going to put on 10, so we'll end up with 20 stitches. So if I was, I don't know, doing a skinny scarf that I wanted to have 20 stitches to do my knitting on, cast on 10. Oh my gosh, I'm only at 8. 9, and one more. 10. Okay. There we go. I have got 10 stitches on the needle. This little and this last loop that came off the crochet hook, don't count that as a stitch. Like, don't stick it on the end of your needle. You don't want to do that. Oh, wait, before I cut my yarn, I think I did this one time too. See, I'm learning so much by trying this, trial and error. Now I'm just going to chain like 3 stitches. Just this must be painful. Will you guys watch me try to crochet? It's painful for me to do it, I'm telling you that. But I'm going to stick with it. Okay, there we go. That's better. Now that I have something to hold on to. Okay, so there. I've chained 3. And this is how I keep track. Because I know, Karen, you told me in one of the comments. Remember last week I couldn't get the provisional yarn to unravel? And that was because I didn't have scissors handy to cut my yarn. And I tried to unravel it from the slip knot end. And as we know, that doesn't work so well. So this way I know short end, long end, I'm going to unravel my short end. So there we go. Provisional cast on is set up. And that's all we need with the waste yarn. So we're done with the crochet hook. I'm going to use the circular needle now to actually knit. I'm going to work 4 rows in stockinette stitch. So I'm going to start off back at my beginning with my long end. So we can just chit chat here for a couple minutes. I'm just going to work across these 10 stitches, a knit row, a purl row, a knit row, a purl row. Oh, hey, Rita. Oh, what's that? I need to do the blanket squares. Oh my gosh, is that crocheting? Is that crocheting them together? Then you'll be used to it. Oh yeah, Susanna, don't let your dinner burn. I know. You know what? I just need to crochet. It's something I really have not done. I think years ago, like 20 years ago, I crocheted a little baby blanket in a shell stitch. One of my friends from high school helped me do that. No pattern. And I just did it. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. Shell stitch, cluster stitch, something like that. And it was fun. I think I still have it here. It was pink, of course, because it was for Anita and her dolls, and it was fun. But yeah, Rita, you do blankets. Yes, and I know Asa said that's all she has for whips right now are her blanket projects. So Rita, so you're talking, do you knit the squares and then crochet them together? That would be good practice for me, wouldn't it? Crochet blanket squares. Oh yeah, oh, crocheting the whole squares. Oh yeah, that's serious. I have to get yeah, that would be a lot. Yes, Rita, you do a couple a year. I really want to do some kind of blanket, and I almost thought for this year I was thinking about doing some kind of blanket challenge for myself, like do a square, like maybe a 12 by 12 square a month or something. I don't know. I may think about that and do something like that as a knit along for us next year, starting in January. Oh my gosh, I would use a lot of stash if I actually knit some blankets one day. I have, I have yarn for Eric down in the basement that I've had for a few years to do a blanket. It's really, I would much prefer knitting a blanket than knitting a toy or something fiddly. Having said that, though, I think, oh, you'll join in, Susanna? Perfect. I think we're going to do the Fibre Friends. I think we are going to do a toy knit along in the summertime, just for fun, something a little different. Oh, hey. Oh, so Knit and Purl. Oh, is that Granny D? Hello. Happy Monday. Okay, I've got my 4 rows of stockinette done. Crochet, is just different enough. What's that, Jocelyn? That it, uses your wrist differently and your brain differently. That's a good point. I know. And you know what? And I would have no problem doing crochet. It's just, you guys, I have so many knitting projects. How am I going to fit crochet in? Oh, okay. So yeah, what's a good, it changes it up, doesn't it? Okay. So here I am. I've got my 4 rows of stockinette done. I'm going to take out my my chain stitch here. So I guess what I could do, okay, I picked up the crochet hook, you guys. Don't want that. So what I could do is, so you've got 2 options at this time, right? You can either just whip out that provisional cast on and you've got live stitches and pick them up, or you can go in right now and you can just pick up your stitches first and then pull out your provisional cast on. But what fun is that? I'm just going to take the whole thing out right now, if I can. This first one always gets a little tangled up, doesn't it? There. Ta-da. So there we go. See those live stitches? So this is, Sandy, what I was talking about when I said your stitches double, because I actually cast on 10. I think it's 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. But when you take out your provisional cast on, you end up with 10 extra live stitches. So now we're going to end up with 20 stitches. So I'm going to carry on. I'm going to just keep doing the 2x2 rib. But really, I think you can do this. I think I did do this in one of my practice. I did do 1 by 1. So I don't see why you couldn't do either, or really whatever you wanted to do. 3 by 1. I don't see why you couldn't make it whatever you wanted it to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Ta-da. This is already working out way better than last week. Okay, so there we go. There's our 4 rows of stockinette, stitches on both ends. So now if you've done toe up socks, and you know what? That was the other thing I wanted to look at, and I didn't have time this week. I have to try and do that for next week. Is, Tracy, the live stitches scare you? Just, I know, you just have to get over that. If you drop it, well, what's the worst case? I mean, I've got 4 rows of stockinette here, so it's not like it's gonna drop right down into your cast on row. You've got a little wiggle room. You can pick something up, right? It's not you don't need to be scared. Don't be scared of your stitches. So tubular cast on. I am sure when I said last week how you pick up your stitches and then you fold it in half as if you were doing a toe up sock, something again in my brain, I'm like, oh my gosh, way back when, I'm thinking, you know what? I think I read somewhere up that tubular cast on, you can do that for socks. And I'm pretty sure you can. I was going to look in some of my sock knitting books to see, but I would bet, what would I bet? I would bet almost anything that is in there, and you can use a tubular cast on. But I think I always just kind of bypassed it because I always did Judy's Magic Cast On for socks. So my pink, my Leo and Roxy, my Love Bug yarn that I did not cast on this week, they're going to be toe up socks. So I think I'm going to try and do a tubular cast on just because I seem to be obsessed with a tubular cast on right now. Okay, just nervously. Okay. I know. Well, okay. So now I'm going to carry on. So I've got a third needle here. I have got stitches on the needle close to me, and I've got stitches that are far away. So near stitches and back far stitches. The near ones are going to be knits. The ones on my back needle are going to be purls. So from the front needle, I'm going to knit 2, then I'm going to go to the back needle and purl 2. So what I've got 20 stitches, my 10 and my 10, I'm going to end up with 20 on this needle. So I'm just going to go knit 2, purl 2. But like I said, you know, you could do whatever. You could do knit 1, purl 1. Oh, sounds like a Turkish cast on. I don't know. I'm thinking, do we need to investigate that? I was going to do, oh my God. Okay. Don't get angry when I say this. The Chinese Waitress cast on. I think I'm just going to, that's what it's called. But it should just be called, I don't know, the Waitress cast on, or I don't know, something. That was going to be this week's cast on. But I was still obsessed with the tubular cast on, so here we are. We're still perfecting this. We'll work our way through some more cast ons over the next few weeks. Oh, you're using acrylic yarn? Is that, James, was that you? Okay. Oh, Susie. So yes, have you used it for toe up socks? Turkish cast on for toe up socks. Okay, look at this. The saga continues. So now what I'm thinking, yes, was it tubular or was it Turkish? I don't know. I guess that's next week's question to answer. But can I use tubular for socks? I'm thinking maybe, because this could look just like a sock toe, except obviously I wouldn't rib it, but I could cast on this way, and then I could just keep going and start my increases out, couldn't I? Okay, so 2 knits. Now I got to do 2 purls. So now I'm just going to the back needle here, and I'm going to purl 2. And so I don't know. I mean, this is definitely more steps than just whipping off a long tail cast on, but it's not impossible. It's not super hard. It's just different. And this seems to be my year to be all about different. Try something new. And I talked about doing the tubular cast off. So has anybody here done a tubular cast off so you would have a matching ends? I didn't get to that this week either. So we'll see next week. I mean, and then, yeah, I know there was a lot. Well, the one book that I held up on Friday when Cheryl and I were chatting, it had 211 cast on and cast offs. That's a lot of weeks we're going to be sitting here talking about ins and outs of cast on and cast offs if we work our way through the book. I don't think I would even remember them by the time I got to the end, what I was doing. Okay, so here I am. Everything is now off this needle. And I have all my 20 stitches on here. And you can see we'll have knits and purls. So there's 2 purls. Is that focusing? We should be able to see purl bumps and knit stitches. Very Pink Knits has Chinese. Oh, does she, Tracy? Yeah, and I know I have done that cast on, but there again, it's been so many years. And I think if you guys didn't watch the last, I don't know, week or 2 weeks ago, where I said, you know, I focused on, really just kind of got stuck in a rut doing long tail, because a long tail cast on pretty much is a good all round, and it will do you well for really pretty much any project you're doing. And it's so quick, so fast to cast on. So much faster than this one. But I don't know. I just got this idea that, you know what, I should revisit some of these, try some of them again, see what I like. Maybe my tastes have changed over the years. And it's kind of fun to try something and mess it up a whole bunch of times and figure it out. It's been kind of fun. And I can now say, well, except I almost dropped this stitch. I was just literally going to say that I feel like I have perfected this. Oh, Andrea Mowry has one for the Turkish cast on. Okay, I'll check because I checked hers for the tubular cast on, but hers was a long tail version, much like the Italian, which is not anything wrong with that, right? They still give you the same basic look. I think the Italian, though, I don't think it had quite as much stretch, but that could be a personal thing too, because everybody's tension is a little different. Maybe that could play a part. So there, I just started. This feels much more substantial along the bottom than like the Italian. It feels like squishy. Like I don't know. Can you see that? Like it has a thickness to it that feels nice. So anyways, that is that. I feel like I can check this one off my list now. The other one that was just the knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one, very much reminded me of starting off doing double knitting. Hey, Nicole. Sorry, I just had a cat jump on my lap and dig all her claws into my knee. Because Daisy is a well-fed cat, and she sometimes doesn't give herself enough oomph to get up on my lap. Okay. Oh, so Nicole. Okay, so you are saying Waitress is the way to go. Okay, very stretchy, and you don't have to figure out how much yarn you need for the cast on. 2 ticks, 2 thumbs up for that. I know, because that's the one drawback to the long tail, right? Is yes, how many times have we estimated and then run short? But then there's always a trick for that. You can cast on with 2 balls and not have to pull it. You can still do the long tail cast on, but you don't have to pull it a long tail. You can just leave a couple of inches. So that's a workaround too. Okay, that is that. I'm going to talk to you about the sock knitting challenge. And okay, maybe I don't have any more sock yarn. Okay, so sock yarn challenge. Okay, back up for a sec. So what do you think? Oh, James, you're on the other channel? Like what, the Fibre Friends one? So I think I like this. I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do this on these fingerless mitts. And I think I'm going to try that. I'm going to try it on a couple of projects. Now that I've gone to all this work figuring out how to work this cast on. Where did my others? I dropped it. This one. This has got a little more that you can actually see. Tubular cast on. I think I'm going to try that in sock weight for the fingerless mitts and try it for the toe of a sock. I'm curious to see. But now I'm really curious to see what the Turkish cast on. So Turkish cast on and the Waitress cast on. Those will be 2 cast ons coming up over the next couple of weeks that we can play around with too. And everybody can chime in, you know, let me know if you've tried them or not. So has anybody done this type of tubular cast on? Or has anybody done the 1x1 where you knit and slip and knit and slip? I would not have thought there would have been this much debate over cast-ons. Anyways, sock knitting challenge. Have you guys heard about the sock knitting challenge? The Fibre Friends are doing this. Cheryl and I are hosting a sock knitting challenge over Easter weekend, which is now 2 weekends away. We're going to start Friday and go through Sunday. So you've got 3 full days, well, 3 days, whatever your day looks like. And it is a personal challenge for yourself. It can be any challenge. It can be to knit a pair of socks over the weekend. Mine is going to be to knit one full sock, a full leg. See if I can do it in a day. It could be take the weekend. You don't even have to finish a pair or a single sock. It could just be to cast on and get a pair started, and then kind of have a deadline in mind. Say, you would like to get the whole leg done, or get the leg and a heel turn done. It could be to try a new heel. If you haven't done a short row heel, if you haven't done an afterthought heel, the fish lips kiss heel. Jocelyn, what were you doing? You were doing a mock short row heel on your sock that you're knitting right now. There's a garter stitch heel. There's the new, what did I see? Dawn from the Codependent Knitters was talking about it. The magic heel, I think what it's called, where it looks like a heel flap, but it is just a section of ribbing done where your heel would be. So there's no turning, there's no short rows. It just looks like it's ribbing, which would kind of fit and, conform to the shape of your heel. That looks pretty cool. It could be doing toe up. If you've only ever done cuff down, you might want to try toe up. You could do toe up 2 at a time. You could do cuff down 2 at a time. You could try and do a pair of shorty socks. You could do children's socks. I mean, literally anything. It could be a pattern that you've had in your queue, or something that, any pattern at all that you've had and just have never cast it on. If you've got pretty stock yarn that you've bought and it's sitting in, a project bag somewhere or on a shelf, it could be just to pull that out and get it cast on and just say, you want to get this much done by the end of the weekend. And now this is brand new. So some people have heard all of that kind of spiel before, but now what Cheryl and I are going to do, I'm going to put a thread up on the Fibre Friends Ravelry group. And that's because the Fibre Friends are doing the sock challenge. It's not a WildflowerWool activity. It's a Fibre Friends. So over on Ravelry, I'm going to start a chit chat, and then I'll do a finished object for pictures. So for the chit chat, you can post, your yarn, or what your goal is. What is your hope for the weekend? And if you get it finished, post a picture in the finished thread on Ravelry, and everybody who obtains their goal, I will send you a copy of my Rambling Friends sock pattern. As it's the challenge is all about socks. So then, just to carry on with the sock fun, I will send you another sock pattern. And I don't even have my sock or a copy. Well, I'm not going to get up and get it. I can see it on the other side of the room, but I can show that to you next Monday night. So there will be. So there you go. So make your what do I want to say? I mean, I want it to be a challenge for you, but I don't want anybody stressing about it. So, and you know what? And I want everybody to have a copy of the pattern. So, make your goal attainable, but have fun. And then I will forward a copy of the pattern to your Ravelry library, which will be lots of fun. And then over on the Fibre Friends, if you're not a member of the Facebook group, the Fibre Friends Friday Night Knit In group, you should go over there, request to join, because that's where most of the fun will be happening throughout the weekend. I just want really people to post tons and tons and tons of pictures, like flood the Facebook group with lots of sock pictures, what your yarn is. You can put what your goal is going to be there. You can post progress pictures, because we have to take breaks. Don't want anybody getting knitting injuries because you're like sitting and knitting for 18 hours straight without getting up, So when you take a break to get up, I'm planning like pee breaks and quick, easy food breaks, and then get back to my knitting, because I'm going to need all the time I can in a day to try to get a sock done. I mean, how long did it take me to do my February socks? Forever. So, oh, you're going to sign up? Fantastic. So give me a second. I haven't set it up on the Ravelry thread yet. So give me a second to do that. But, anyways, it is going to be fun. And I just really want the idea is that people can, when we're taking breaks from our knitting, we can scroll through Facebook and we can see everybody's picture of their really fun, patterns and see their socks taking shape and cheer everybody on. And then some of the people who are in the Fibre Friends group, you may not be sock knitters, or, your weekend maybe is just going to be crazy busy, even though none of us really have having anything to do Easter weekend. But if you're not doing socks, then at least you can still have the fun of seeing everybody else and what they're working on and cheer everybody on. So when we kind of picked Easter weekend, because I think still throughout the world, we're in various stages of lockdown. I know my poor friends that Noelle and Kelly, who are Knits and Pieces podcast, they went back into lockdown as of today. So we aren't that bad in London, but still, I'm sure nobody's going to be encouraged to get together for Easter. So everybody's going to be staying home. So I thought this would be a good activity we could do. I mean, sock knitting, what a better way to spend an Easter weekend, right? If you can't get together with all your family and friends. So it will be fun. And now that we've got prizes added to it, that just, who doesn't need another sock pattern, right? And I'm kind of partial to this one because I designed it, and it's kind of fun. It has lace and cables in it. It's cute. It's fun. So that is that, everybody. That has been kind of my knitting week. I didn't get near as much done as I had hoped to, but I guess I got my socks done, and that was my big challenge. This week's challenge for me is going to be getting the color work hat finished for myself, and that should not be like a big deal for me, because I desperately really want to just sit and knit row after row after row on it. So yes, so the sock challenge is a Fibre Friends challenge. I want to say it's not really a knit along, it's more of a challenge. So it will be on Ravelry, on the Fibre Friends Ravelry group. And also the Fibre Friends Facebook group is where we can post and chit chat in both of those places. So in the WildflowerWool Ravelry group, you can go over there this week and you can just post pictures if you want to share what you're working on this week. And if you've got any goals or what you want to try to finish up, that would be great. And you can post pictures and we can all see them and just motivate. See, look at this. I'm knitting fingerless gloves just because Cheryl mentioned it. And now I'm thinking, oh, I think I need to do those. But it is going to, not the pink, it's going to get this out of my stash and turn it into something wearable for somebody. So that makes me happy. This has been fun. Oh, and you know what? I'm just taking a quick peek at my list. You know what I wanted to do? I'm going to put this back on a needle. Liz had left me a comment. So we'll chat here for another second or two. She had left a comment on a video from, I don't know when it was, a few weeks ago. She must have been catching up on some videos. And she had asked if I could clarify how you work an increase, a yarn over increase, and then how you actually knit that increase. So Liz, if you are watching this, this is for you. So there you go. Look at this. My fancy little swatch here. Tubular Cast On. It does look pretty, doesn't it? I think it might be worth the fiddliness, you guys. Kind of think it might be. Think I like this better than the Italian. Can't stop squishing it. Is that a good sign or not? Okay. So Liz, you said you knit in the round. So we'll pretend we're knitting in the round here, okay? So I'm going to work around, and then my pattern is going to tell me to do a yarn over increase. So when you're knitting knits and you're going to continue on knitting knits, you just bring your yarn between the knitting needles, So it's at the front as if you were going to purl, but you carry on knitting. So that just pulls your yarn right there. See how it's just going over the needle? And if you look underneath, you see the hole, and there's nothing under your knitting needle. Like, that's not an actual stitch. It's just literally the yarn is over the needle, makes one extra stitch. Which I think you said you understood that part, but it was, what do you do when you come back to that stitch? Okay, so I am going to just quickly knit to the end of the row. I'm going to pretend I'm knitting in the round. And do my little cheater in the round as if I was swatching. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come back, pull my yarn around. Oh, and I cut this. Okay. Have to improvise here. I'm going to join on some yarn here. So Liz, all that you need to do when you get back, so you're working in the round, so you've finished off your round, and knit in weekend. Oh, knit in bed weekend. That sounds actually kind of good. Okay, so see, I'm coming back to the yarn over here. You are just going to knit that just as a regular stitch. I'm going to turn this around so it's backwards to me, but this is how you're going to see this. This is your working needle. There's your yarn over you're going to knit into. You just put that in just as if you're going to knit a regular stitch. Don't even worry about the fact that it's a yarn over. Just work it. Put your needle in. And now, if you're doing a decorative, like you're increasing and you want the hole to stay there, you work it through the front of the stitch just like a regular knit stitch, and there's your yarn over. If you want just the increase but not the decorative yarn over, you're going to knit it through the back. So here I am at the stitch. Instead of coming through the front of the loop, I'm going to come around and I'm going to pick up the back leg and knit it. So that's going to keep that extra stitch in your increase. But see there, the yarn over is gone. So that's it. So when you're working that yarn over, if you want it to stay the whole, you just knit through the front, just treat it like a regular old stitch. If you want to close it up, you go through the back leg and it twists your stitches, the legs of your stitch closed. And instead of having a yarn over, they twist and they close up. Just like that. So I'll show you. So this is now backwards. This is what you would be doing if you're seeing the front of your work and here's your next stitch. This is going into the front of the stitch like you normally would. Coming into the back is coming around and picking up the back leg. Hope that helps. Okay, you guys, so if anybody else has any knitting questions, you know, if you can think of, if it's something I can try to quickly answer for you in a video, you can feel free to leave a comment down below too, and I will try to help you out if I can. So have a great knitting weekend, everybody. Weekend. Okay, it's not Friday. Have a great knitting week. I'm going to just take a quick look. Hey, April. Just kind of scroll back through some comments here. See what I missed. Yeah, so I will set up things on Ravelry so you can go, you know, think about what yarn you want to use for the sock knitting challenge. And, you know, there's things, okay, and I'm going to say this and I don't want to hear anybody's eyes roll because I know some people might, that, you know, you can totally get your yarn ready. You can get your needles ready. And you know what I'm going to say, right? You can gauge if you want to. I mean, socks, you guys all know I'm a stickler for gauge, but socks is something that maybe you can get away with, right? If you know that you're You always use a 2.25 needle. You always use 68 stitches. You know, you don't really need to gauge. Only thing I definitely say you need to gauge for with socks is if they're doing like a colorwork pattern, because you're going to have to go up a stitch count or two, right? Or a stitch count, needle size or two. So it's not super, super tight. Okay, so yeah, so you guys left me some comments about the different cast-ons. Okay, yes, so Jane, you said, or James, you said you're using acrylic. So how is that working well for the tatting? Okay, I think maybe I got most of the comments here while we were chatting. Oh, okay. So, Rita said, oh yeah, so about not casting on. Yeah, no, that's not a challenge that's gonna ever happen around here. If you want that, go visit Jolynn and Carrie at Little Red Mitten Podcast, because they're the ones doing it. Yeah, I don't know. Unless what Jocelyn said, she thought maybe she could do 30 days. I don't know. I don't know if that's something I think I ever want to even try to do. I am all about embracing my stash and casting on all the things that make me happy. I'll let other podcasters do the non-casting on challenges, and I will just share that information as I come across it. And if that's what you want to do, then you can definitely do that. You can sit here and work on your whips and not cast on and watch me cast on. I'll cast on for you. How's that? Well, guys, this has been fun and oh my goodness, a little bit longer than I was hoping. I was trying to hope to keep everything to an hour, but that's okay. We're having fun. Oh, Susan, you've done fingerless gloves. Oh, for your granddaughter. And does she like wearing them? Maybe. Is it like a kid thing, a trendy thing? I don't know. And you know, the weather's so nice here right now. Maybe first thing in the morning you would need some light fingering, like a sock weight fingerless glove probably would work well. And I'm not fooling myself. It is only the end of March. We are going to get a little bit of snow. Not a lot, but you know, we'd be kidding ourselves if we thought we were not going to see any more snow, you know, until next fall. That's not going to happen. Mother Nature is going to put us back in our place and say, you know, you guys are all getting too excited for spring. Here's a dumping of snow first thing in the morning. So there may still be times to wear fingerless gloves and my new hat. I'm kind of looking forward to wearing that too. That is it, everybody. I think I'm going to head off and do a little bit of knitting. Oh, yes. Jocelyn, yes. Do take a picture of the yarn you want to do for your sock challenge. I'm desperately trying to decide if I'm going to cast on a brand new ball, wind a new ball, and cast it on. I have 2 single socks sitting here that need mates, and I know I should really work on those. And I might. It's a process. I have to convince myself that that's what I should do. And I think I probably will. I think I'm going to try to make myself do that. I have all this pretty sock yarn. I'm staring at a whole wall of sock yarn. And I'd really like to cast some of it on. But I should probably, I've got really, my 2 single socks are both knit in beautiful yarn. My flamingo sock is from Songbird Fibers, and the other colorway is called Mine from Timber Yarns. So they would both be perfect, beautiful socks to knit during the challenge. So I probably should make myself stick to that before I get carried away and cake something else and cast on. Anyways, guys, start thinking about the sock knitting challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully next week I will come back with something that we can do the tubular cast off. And yeah, maybe I will take a look at the Waitress cast on and we can play around with that too, because that would be fun. I think the tubular cast on, I think we've talked about that enough. I think I'm going to move on. Next week, yeah, next week we'll do the cast off and the Chinese Waitress just for a little bit of fun. And hopefully I'll have a finished hat to show you and a start on the fingerless gloves. I'm going to design something. I'm not going to do the pattern that Cheryl's doing. I thought I was going to, but I've really got the design bug, and I think I'm going to put something with a little bit of a cable up the front of the hand, up the palm of the hand. So I will hopefully have something started, and I can show you that next week. So you guys all have a fantastic week. I do these lives Friday nights as well over in the Fibre Friends Friday Night Knitting. So if you're not a member there, go over there, search on Facebook. You have to answer the questions to be let in, and then we'd love to have you join over there. And I do a live Friday night, so that's where I usually say have a great knitting weekend. But this is a knitting week, so have fun, everybody. I'm going to head off and knit. And maybe I'll see you live Friday night. If not, I will catch you back here next Monday with show you my week's worth of knitting. Okay, guys, thank you so much. It's been fun. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next Monday. Bye.